Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently, we are in Job chapter 38. Now, we come to the end of the book of Job. So, we start off with God, and then we end with God. And this is existence. This is life. This is, creation. And what is interesting, of course, is God, of course, is the one who's giving us the story, the revelation. So we start in chapters 1 and 2 with God's purpose. And I want to kind of remind this. I want to go back and do a little reminder here because I think it is important to understand how man's religion, has corrupted the revelation of God. Now, what do I mean by that? You always hear of the epic battle between good and evil. This notion that God is fighting against Satan. The notion that God is in a contest with Satan who can win more souls, and that Satan's, even though he knows he's doomed, but with his, from hell's, whatever, that little literature that they quote, from hell's depths I stab at thee, my last breath I spit at thee, something like that. And that Satan is, even though I know I'm doomed, I'm going to win more souls for God and then wipe it in his face. God, I got more souls than you. And that is such a perversion of the truth that we and so that it now it is it's even hard for us to kind of comprehend the nature of God for that reason. So the very first thing that Job teaches us is that, one, there is no epic battle between good and evil. But what we find here, and of course, as with all things beyond the physical realm, and I'm going to come back to that because that's important to me to understand about one of the revelations of Scripture. But we don't have, we get glimpses into the spiritual realm or reality. And there is a spiritual reality, and in this spiritual reality, existence go on. Existence exist. In other words, it's not vapors. When we think about a ghost, we think about vapors. Ooh, kind of no. We get glimpse of this, for example, in the Mount of the Transfiguration when Moses and Elijah showed up and they was talking with Jesus. That's a stunning revelation, but it's a glimpse because we don't have any details. Moses had been dead some 1,500 years, Elijah some 800. That's a stunning revelation. So when we come to the book of Job, remember the book of Job, chronological, is one of the oldest books or writings in the Bible. And it puts us around the time of Abraham, as best they could know. So the revelation is kind of stunning because this is what you see. You don't hear Israel. You don't see anything about even the line of Abraham or Israel. But we get this revelation, how from the beginning, we get this revelation that God gives us of a heavenly scene. We're first given details, of course, about Job. He's a wealthy man. He's a prosperous man. He's a healthy man. He has, to me, the dream life. He's healthy, wealthy, wise, as best we can see, he has a loving wife. He has, I think, 10 children, 7 sons and 3 daughters, and that they all get along together. That his servants, his again, he has immense wealth. So my point is there you look at a man with the dream life, but then more than that, on top of all of that, he is a righteous man, a just man, a good man. So then we flash to, and in fact, the idea is that he is more righteous than anyone on earth. This is the statement. Then we flash to the heavenly scene where it says the sons of God presented themselves before God. And then it says, and Satan came amongst them. Now, if you remember, that was again a glimpse, and we're not given detail, and where there is no detail, I would say that we should not give details. Okay, we can speculate, but we should clarify that it is speculation. So we have the heavenly scene, and then God asks this question. In other words, Satan didn't come demand it, but God asked this question. Now, we kind of dealt with a little bit of why Satan was there in the first place. Why was he allowed? That goes to information that sometimes we think we have, but we don't always know. And that's one of them. But God asked Satan, where you've been? And Satan says, going to and fro in the earth, right? And God says to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Now, to understand that statement, Peter sheds light on it. Resist our adversary, the devil, who prowled about seeking whom he may devour. So, backtracking, we can say, when God asked him, where you been? And he says, going to and fro in the earth. The idea is seeking whom I may devour. Okay. He said, have you considered my servant Job? He's an upstanding man, righteous man. Satan says, yeah, but has he served you for naught? In other words, doesn't he serve you because you blessed him? Now that's an interesting statement too, by the way. That is a very interesting statement. Haven't you served him? I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this from a standpoint of, and this is a wild stretch sidebar, because I think about prosperous ministries, and you think about their families, and you go, well, they're the model family. Well, are they the model family because daddy's rich, life is rich? But what happens when that's taken away? I'm thinking about one particular ministry. I will not. Well, I'm not going to mention his name anyway, but I'll say this about him: that, and he's by no means a Job. His undoing was strictly his. And I remember hearing a few years back that now his wife has divorced him, and I kind of put a question mark why. But anyway, moving on. Okay, so my point is that what the case that Satan was making was that of course he's going to bless you. You've blessed his life. So God says, okay, take him, take everything he has, but don't kill him. Now the reason why I bring that up is because right there you see Satan is under God's control. And this, we oftentimes get the ideal that Satan is out of control, wreaking havoc and that God is kind of behind the scenes, behind the eight ball, trying to wrangle him in, trying to control him. And one of the startling truths, one of the startling revelations is that everything is in God's sovereign control. Okay? So when you think about why things happen, always understand that they happen under God's control. That's a hard truth, because we kind of have, I think, in the back of our minds, this idea that God is not in control. That, maybe he created the universe and everything, and then that darn Satan at the time, Lucifer, and then Adam, it just kind of spiraled out of control. And he had to now rush to go, I need to do something to bring order back to my creation. We kind of think this. And really the reality is no. Everything is under God's control. Everything. Now, if you're a critic, and my thing is, the critics, it doesn't matter if you're a critic. I say this because of the Calvinist point of view, the Calvinist. And I say this I say this because of the Calvinist point of view. And when I'm thinking about something, I kind of messed up something. All right. But I'm saying this because of the Calvinist point of view of God's sovereignty, and then the arguments against the Calvinist point of view. When we talk about, and then this is in the area of salvation. Okay. But in terms of the rulership, I'm trying to formulate this, and because again, I don't want to overstep or understep. What I'm saying is that what has been amazing is that this whole thing that we think is the sovereignty of God, the sovereignty of God, okay? And I guess my point is that we don't have enough information to always have one view or another. So if you're a critic and you see this, you see critics criticizing, saying, well, if God is a God of love, if God is just God, yada 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 yada. Well, one of the things I'm saying all of this, because this is a prelude to once we start in chapter 38. That is, it is easy to say in the launch attacks against God when God is not here. What I'm saying is that all of this is under God's control, as evidenced by the fact that God limited Satan to what he could and could not do. He could take away Job's wealth, but not his life. He could take away Job's health, but not his life. And not only that, but keep this in mind, Satan obeyed. Now let that sink in for a moment. Satan obeyed. So then let's flash forward for a moment. And you see Jesus at the Lake of Gennesaret. Well, he gets off the boat, and it was actually two, but this one demon-possessed man that we knew probably had more than 2,000 demons. He was possessed with more than 10,000 demons. Now, again, here's the interesting thing now. Because again, this whole world of demonology. How, what's up with that, right? Of course, you see the movie The Exorcist, and from there, every demonic movie, and that's all Hollywood. Because there's always a slight to where they, anyway, it's Hollywood, okay? But as the scripture, the demons ran up to Jesus. And by the way, every time a demon spoke out, when Jesus said, "Be quiet," note they were quiet. They didn't say, "Well, I'm going to keep on talking anyway, Jesus," curse Jesus out or whatever. You never saw that defiance. And so you have these, like I say, nearly, I don't know, it could have been more than, I believe it was several squadrons, as they call them, of demons, which anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 demons. But they cried out, have you come to torment us before the time? Now notice that they're asking this question. They're not in defiance, but they're asking. And again, we don't have a glimpse of this. We don't have answers. We don't have details. But then they said, "Well, let us go into the pigs." And Jesus said, "Go." And notice they went into the pigs. Notice they did not go into someone else, like anybody else that's standing around. I don't know if you ever see this movie with Denzel Washington called Fallen, and there you had spirits that would just hop in and out of people at will. Okay, at will. Okay. Well, if demonology was like that, if the demon world was like that, wouldn't it be a lot more chaos in the world? And my point to all of this is the reason why it is not because God controls it. Now you may say, "Well, God is not fair," but He's God. Okay, He's God. So we come to Job here, and Satan is allowed by God to destroy Job's life, take his wealth, then take his health. So the most part, we've been going back and forth from a human perspective, the discourse. And one of the things that Job got is that he began to say, I don't understand why God is not talking with me. I don't understand why. I would love to ask God questions. I would love to plead my case. But God is not around. God, where is He? Right? And by the way, he still kind of maintains his place in that he says, who could take God to court? I just want to ask God, why me? Why am I suffering? So what we're going to see, let me go to this, and then I know we're going to pick this up in the next study. So then it says, then the Lord answered Job from a whirlwind. He said, who is this that obscures my counsel with ignorant words? Get ready to answer me like a man. When I question you, you will inform me. Now I'm going to stop there because we're out of time. But so Job asked for this audience. Job demanded this audience, and God shows up. Okay? So we'll pick this up next time. Fascinating revelation. That's all I can say. All right, guys, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. As always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome.